Welcome back, everyone. Let's talk about loyalty. Remember when loyalty meant something? When decades of service earned you a pension and a gold watch? Those were the days, so they tell us. When organizations actually value the people who built them, that reality is dead. And not merely dead. Murdered, dismembered, and fed to the corporate wood chipper while shareholders applauded from a safe distance. Yeah. Gone is the social contract that governed most of the 20th century, violated with the enthusiasm of a prison riot. Yet these failing institutions have the audacity, the absolute fucking gall to demand allegiance while offering nothing except empty platitudes and mission statements printed on paper that outlast their commitment to you. Consider what you owe to systems designed to extract value until nothing remains but a hollowed out husk. Not loyalty, not trust, not silence when they violate their side of the bargain. Traditional social arrangements weren't about noble sacrifice. They represented something simple, mutual benefit. Workers gave loyalty, companies provided security. Employees offered commitment, employers delivered opportunity. Now organizations take everything while returning nothing, yet express shock when people walk away. Such entitled indignation mirrors an abusive partner unable to comprehend why you'd finally leave after decades of mistreatment. Witness the transformation of employer-employee dynamics. No longer a relationship. It's become a hostage situation where Stockholm Syndrome counts as a job qualification these days. Yeah, joining a company meant 30 years, culminating in retirement and pension with healthcare. Businesses invested in training. They developed talent, promoted from within. And workers responded by dedicating their prime years, best energy, and creative output. Such arrangements have vanished completely, extinct as dinosaurs at a Mormon funeral. And modern corporations treat employees as disposable assets to be squeezed dry and discard at the first economic hiccup. Expect a 60-hour work week, constant availability, then termination via 2-minute Zoom calls read by an HR rep from a legally approved script. Meanwhile, those same lawyers craft press releases celebrating our people, our most valuable asset. Businesses demanding passion will replace you before your office chair stops spinning. Consider manufacturing veterans. The worst of this example is you'll put in 27 years of perfect attendance, holiday shifts, and missed family events. And their reward was layoffs at 57. You're too experienced for entry positions, too young for full retirement. Simultaneously, CEOs pocket $8.5 million in bonuses for streamlining operations. This isn't a fair exchange. It's highway robbery in broad daylight with the government holding back the victims. Hard data reveals what corporate communications conceal. CEO compensation has soared 1,322% on the dot since 1978. You could look that statistic up. And worker pay, a measly 18%. That is not a topographical error there. Just history's most obscene wealth transfer disguised as market forces and performative incentives. Hey, Ted, have you hit your performance metrics yet? If you don't by the end of the year, fired. No raise. It's a clown show. And workers generate unprecedented value, yet see virtually none of it. It's the Robin Hood dynamics flipped upside down and injected with industrial-grade steroids. Betrayal reaches far beyond corporate boundaries too, by the way. Examine education for perhaps the most flagrant loyalty con game. Academic institutions, once dedicated to learning, have morphed into predatory lending schemes with classrooms as decorative accessories. University administrators saddle young adults with inescapable debt for degrees that fail to prepare them for actual jobs, essentially selling vehicles without engines, then blaming graduates for transportation problems. And during recent decades, tuition costs climbed 8 times faster than wages. 8 fucking times. Has education quality improved 8-fold? Do graduates earn 8 times more? Obviously not. And university presidents collect 7-figure salaries while adjunct faculty who handle most teaching earn poverty wages without job security. Campus operations exemplify institutional betrayal disguised as opportunity. Financial vultures dressed in academic regalia. And schools demand financial futures in exchange for credentials that may prove worthless before the ink dries. They champion critical thinking while creating debt-shackled graduates too desperate to question the system. Challenge this contradiction and face accusations of being anti-education or anti-intellectual. We value authentic learning, yeah? Just not scams perpetrated by academic opportunists speaking in footnotes while wearing those stupid elbow patches. And similar patterns repeat across every major sphere of American life. Religious organizations, here we go. They'll demand tithes and obedience while harboring predators. Catholic Church. Wolves taking charge of the sheep pen. Like the Catholic hierarchy, shuffle abusive priests between parishes while demanding unquestionable faith. Then you have the evangelical empires that preach prosperity gospel as leaders acquire private jets. Moral authority behind their loyal demand stands revealed as fraudulent at best, malevolent at worst. And hell, let's go into the media outlets, formerly society's fourth estate. They now function as engagement maximizing outrage generators rather than reliable information sources. News organizations manipulate emotions, amplify divisions, and distort facts while positioning themselves as essential to democracy. In reality, they operate as a business trading your attention to advertisers, yet react with indignation when questioned about such motives. It's insane. Much like dealers will get offended when a customer asks what substances are in their products. It's 100% pure, bro. Trust me. This news is 100% real. No propaganda. Trust me. We're the authority in this. And healthcare charges Lamborghini rates for services equivalent to broken scooters. America outspends every nation on medical care, yet ranks embarrassingly low in outcomes. How insane is that? Medical expenses cause most bankruptcies, while insurance corporations announce record profits. How does that work? And coverage demands regular premium payments, but vanishes when needed most, functioning like firefighters who only respond to houses not currently burning. And then they wonder why they get Luigi'd. Shocker to absolutely nobody. Then you have the financial institutions that crashed the global economy in 2008, devastating lives and evaporating trillions in wealth. Then demanded taxpayer bailouts while continuing executive bonus payments. No senior banking executives served prison time. Today, those same entities lecture customers about responsible money management while charging 24% interest on credit cards and imposing $35 fees for $5 overdrafts. They seek trust with the righteous outrage of unfaithful spouses demanding to check their partner's phones. And the tech companies, they'll build surveillance business models that would impress cold world intelligence agencies. Oh, imagine if they had this technology in the 1930s. Ooh-wee, what a different world. 1984 already saw this coming. Software tracks locations, monitors conversations, and predicts behaviors, all while claiming merely to connect the people. Silicon Valley transfers customers into products, users into the used. Digital voyeurs sell what they observe, then claim immunity from consequences by insisting they're merely platforms, not responsible for the resultant damages. Facing such comprehensive betrayal, many adopt a new approach. They call it strategic disloyalty. This strategy doesn't reflect selfishness. It just acknowledges the changed rules. When organizations treat people as disposable, protecting personal interests becomes necessary for survival, not selfish indulgence. Securing your oxygen mask first makes perfect sense in this world. And no call exists here for chaos or rejection of all commitments. That's not what I'm saying. Rather, clear vision reveals that beneath petty marketing lies a landfill previously called opportunity. Old loyalty stemmed from reciprocity, genuine value exchange. Today, we witness the end of blind allegiance to systems serving shareholders rather than stakeholders. Modern contracts aren't contracts at all, merely institutional gaslighting at industrial scale. Picture an arsonist lecturing about fire safety while hiding gasoline behind his back. Organizations demand loyalty while actively betraying stakeholders daily. Criticizing broken promises gets you labeled entitled. Leaders preach sacrifice while executives pillage resources. And HR departments talk about family culture while treating staff as expendable. Such dynamics don't constitute functional relationships. They represent institutional abuse with sticker marketing departments and premium LinkedIn accounts. Institutions didn't evolve this way accidentally. Current conditions resulted from deliberate choices. America strategically restructured to benefit elites at others' expenses. And financial dominance over every aspect of society didn't just happen. Stakeholder capitalism didn't naturally transform into shareholder primacy. Public schools didn't spontaneously become profit centers. Such changes require careful engineering with heist movie precision. Power brokers controlling these systems calculated deliberately. Extract maximum value from workers, customers, students, and citizens while returning minimal benefits. And their design created one-way loyalty flowing upward but never downward, where commitment can be demanded but never reciprocated. Much like casinos where the house always wins, then lecture the losing gamblers about responsible betting after emptying their whole wallet. Okay? And now comes the complaints about loyalty crisis and resignation waves and nobody wanting to work, laying flat, all that stuff. Executives express shock when people refuse to sacrifice for organizations that would discard them instantly. CEOs clutch their pearls when younger generations change jobs rather than remaining with employers offering no advancement paths. It's like captors surprised when hostages attempt to escape. Hey, stop doing that. Hey, I put you in a cage for a reason. Stop. Just stay there, please. What? And average citizens aren't fooled by this. Most recognize the game. People aren't rejecting loyalty itself. They're just refusing rigged systems demanding everything while delivering nothing. Most understand that social contracts weren't merely modified. They were unilaterally canceled by the very institutions that previously benefited most. Just as landlords who abandon property maintenance while raising rents call tenants unreasonable for expecting working heat in winter. Well, just freeze to death, bro. I don't have money to replace your fucking heater, bro. I don't feel like it. Just, can you die so I could just raise the rent on the next person moving in? It's madness. And we're currently witnessing something new emerging. Conditional relationships between individuals and organizations based on the radical notion that loyalty must be mutual. Commitment should flow both ways. Trust requires continuous earning, not automatic granting, and loyalty resembling a credit score requiring maintenance, not a birthright automatically conferred. Shocker, yeah? In today's landscape, strategic disloyalty becomes essential, not optional. When businesses view staff as replaceable parts, treating jobs as temporary arrangements isn't disloyal. It's logical. When colleges sell overpriced credentials with diminishing returns, questioning their value isn't anti-intellectual. It's common sense. And when elected officials prioritize donor interest over public welfare, skepticism is not unpatriotic. It's necessary for survival. Organizations facing loyalty crisis created these situations themselves by systematically dismantling reciprocal relationships that previously made loyalty reasonable. They now face predictable consequences. Having created disposable workforces, fickle consumers, and disengaged citizens, they've received exactly what they designed. After breeding aggressive tigers, should trainers really express surprise when they're mauled? Absolutely not. So why do all these people have this double standard and entitlement to everyday workers, people, and citizens? It's madness. And what does this mean for you personally? How can anyone navigate environments where the old rules have vanished yet old expectations persist? Well, you got to develop a new framework, protecting personal interests while still engaging with necessary institutions. Place primary loyalty in yourself and those consistently demonstrating loyalty for you. This approach isn't selfish. It reflects self-preservation within systems designed for exploitation. Workers aren't families. Bosses aren't friends. Companies are not communities. These represent transactional arrangements disguised as deeper connections to extract additional value. Once profitability ends, so does the relationship. Corporate loyalty extends precisely to the impact point on the quarterly earnings, and not one molecule beyond. Adjust commitment accordingly or risk becoming another corporate casualty, wondering what happened to those values hanging in the reception areas. Recognize how organizations demanding trust have systematically destroyed foundations that previously made such trust reasonable. Current systems aren't broken. They operate exactly as redesigned. Maximum extraction, minimum benefit. Corporate vampires armed with MBAs and PowerPoint presentations. Personal data and attention now represent commodities harvested and sold by companies pretending to offer services. Social platforms manipulate behaviors, will exploit you, all your vulnerabilities, and then monetize that existence while calling it engagement. Tech corporations demand godlike powers while accepting teenage levels of accountability. It couldn't be any more of a joke. And political structures claiming to represent constituents play games where citizens aren't players, just balls kicked across fields. Partisan warfare consuming public attention mainly serves as theater, concealing bipartisan consensus on issues affecting power and money. Professional wrestlers grabbing drinks together after pretending to hate each other on camera. That's all it is. It's a circus. It's a show. Approach every institutional relationship with healthy skepticism about stated versus actual motives. Watch what organizations do rather than what they say. Judge actions, not marketing, and understand your value to most institutions remains purely instrumental. You matter exactly to the extent you provide something wanted. like chess players recognizing their pieces on someone else's board. None of this means abandoning all organizational engagement or retreating into complete individualism. That's not what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that humans need larger structures, solutions that don't involve burning everything down, rather building new models based on actual reciprocity instead of exploitative extraction disguised as tradition. We must renovate house with crumbling foundations rather than merely apply fresh paint to it. So what might better models look like? Start by acknowledging loyalty must be mutual to survive. Organizations expecting commitment must demonstrate commitment. Institutions demanding trust must prove trustworthiness through consistent actions, not just marketing campaigns. Earlier versions of these alternatives already exist. Worker cooperatives sharing ownership and decision-making, community banks and credit unions structured to serve members rather than shareholders. Educational approaches measuring success through student outcomes rather than administrative growth. These aren't merely alternatives to traditional institutions. They represent potential templates for reinvention. Early mammals scurrying beneath dinosaur feet, awaiting their evolutionary moment. That's where we are. Traditional loyalty's death warrants celebration, not mourning. Leaving abusive relationships for healthier connections, well, that represents progress. I think we could all agree on that. Blind allegiance these systems demand harmed individuals and society alike. Such arrangements enabled all this exploitation. It suppressed their accountability and preserved power structures serving the few at the expense of us, the many. Parasites convincing hosts that sickness represents normal, necessary functioning. Organizations lamenting loyalty crises aren't mourning mutual commitment loss. They're grieving unchecked exploitation's end. Thieves complaining about improved locks. Such entities aren't upset about changing relationships. They're angry about new expectations for reciprocity. Merely leveling the playing field is like a vampire coming across garlic. Oh, how dare you! Give it a rest. And these same corporate vampires will demand dedication's benefits without earning them. They expect sacrifices while offering nothing, no security, and they insist on trust without demonstrating any of that trustworthiness. Recognizing this manipulation doesn't indicate cynicism. It just demonstrates clarity, like finally seeing the puppet strings previously invisible. AKA, you got red-pilled on life in general. And this transformation won't happen overnight or without resistance from those benefiting from the current arrangement. That's normal, right? So the traditional loyalty's death throes will feature increasingly desperate attempts, more appeals to tradition, more emotional manipulation, more shaming to those refusing to sacrifice for the systems that offer you nothing in return. Scammers grow angry when questioned about their stories. Such tactics lose power every single year, and workers watch their parents discarded after decades of loyalty and service that this corporate security promise never existed in the first place. And citizens observing institutions protect themselves at members' expense laugh at the shared sacrifice claims. It's just pure propaganda. Anyone experiencing the gulf between institutional rhetoric and reality stands unmoved by hollow traditional appeals. Get back into the office, work like a slave. No thanks. It's like the dude whose dog attacked 20 people and you go into his house and he's like, it's cool. Tina doesn't bite. It's covered in blood. Yeah, no thanks. What's emerging now, though, is relationships between individuals and institutions based on demonstrated value rather than blind faith. Loyalty earned continuously, not demanded automatically. Subscriptions cancel when service deteriorates. Netflix sucks now. I already canceled mine. And in tomorrow's world, surviving institutions won't be those demanding loyalty while offering nothing. Success will come to organizations understanding that in environments where information flows freely and alternatives abound, old monopolies on trust and allegiances have permanently shattered. A broken spell cannot be recast. And that might be the best possible development for all of us. I hope you guys appreciated today's episode. I know everybody's been feeling some form of disloyalty from, it could be your job, it could be society, it could be any institution that you have to deal with, from healthcare to the government to your local. It doesn't matter, man. It's just all over the place. Disloyalty, dishonesty, and not being rewarded for hard work. And it's getting worse. That's what's the problem. And hopefully this touched up on a little bit of what everybody's been feeling and why they tell you to do the whole, hey, every 2 years you got to get a new job. Why? Because corporations won't reward you staying there long enough and your wages will stagnate. So by going to a new company, a competitor, you can make nearly double or triple if you would have stayed at one company for life. Explain how that makes sense. So much for we're a family and we hire from within. It's clearly a lie. So we live in a new world. So put yourself first. Your loyalty to yourself. They are not your friends. They're not your family. They are nothing to you but a transactional relationship. Never forget that. And as usual, appreciate everybody tuning in. If you like this style episode, let me know. Critiques, topics for the next one. And thank you to everybody that's been in the private community. All those that join us in the private calls. It's been a blessing speaking with all of you. Take care. We'll see you next time.